Podcast Answer Man, episode number 336.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference.
This is GSPN.TV.
Join the community.
Hi, this is Shane from Juicing Radio, and you're listening to Cliff Ravenscraft, the man who took me, a complete newbie when it came to podcasting. I couldn't even subscribe to other people's podcasts, to producing my own show and getting 7,000 downloads and a tweet from iTunes in the first month, because he is the Podcast Answer Man.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and this, my friends, is the podcast about podcasting and so much more. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you're a brand new podcaster, if you've been podcasting for many years, or you haven't quite yet recorded that first show. There's something we can all do to take our show and our online relationship building efforts to the next level. That's right, my friends. Well, that is exactly what we're here to do, is to always be taking things to the next level, taking the things that we think that are working well for us and modifying them so they work even better, even if it makes us upset to think that what we've been doing all along is annoying other people. And to join me to bring probably one of the most controversial episodes of Podcast Answer Man ever, one of the most opinionated, and that's saying a lot, Eric, my great friend and social media correspondent, I can't even talk today, Eric J. Fisher. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Is you calling it controversial a self-fulfilling prophecy?
It is.
Okay.
Although I know it's going to be controversial, and you know why? Because there's this part of me in my gut that says I shouldn't be doing this episode.
I feel the same way.
I should be playing it safe, and I should completely stay away from this topic. Everything that I know about how to win friends and influence people tells me that I should not complain about anything. I should not. What is that? You should. You shouldn't complain, but
it's Thumper's advice. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah, well, so that's the whole thing. I know that talking about things that annoy you, and especially when some of your friends do these things, I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks that I shouldn't do it. But at the same time, here's why this episode is being recorded. It's because, number one, I know that I've been guilty of falling into the trap of doing the same thing other people are doing. I've actually even shared, and actually you and I both together, Eric, over the years, have shared social media tips that allow people and give people the ability to do the things that are now annoying a lot of people. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just me. Although
I never did do Paper.ly.
Thank you. we called that one out as soon as it came out. Although the reality is that I know there are a lot of people out there who are looking to start building their platform. People who are just at the very beginning of saying, you know what, I'm brand new to this space. Let's just say about 18 months ago, I got laid off from my job. I had been working there for 25 years. I have all of this expertise that I've been doing for this company, and now I'm going freelance. Actually, the company that I was working for hired me to as a contractor to do work for them, and I want to do it for other people. And to be honest, this is something I could do for any company in the world. And so I want to actually get my name out there. Because I worked for one company as an employee, nobody in the world knows who I am except for my existing clients through this company, the people, the company I'm working for. And so I want to build an online reputation for myself as a go-to expert in this area. And one of the things that I understand is that, I should create a blog potentially. I should potentially create a podcast, maybe get involved in a little YouTube video production and stuff like that. But hands down, there are some people say I should go to blogging. Some people say I should go to YouTube. Some people say I should go to podcasting. Some say I should go to all three. But one thing that everybody agrees on is that I must be involved in social media. And so they're looking out there for advice on how to engage people, how to build relationships, or how to build awareness about who they are and what they have to offer using social media tools like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google+. And well, I hope that this episode will be a little bit of a premise of things that I have noticed. And Eric, I think you're going to bring in things that you have noticed that have helped you and I build authentic relationships that help people understand what we want to be known for. For you, that's bacon for some reason, but not really. It's productivity and some other wonderful things. But the reality is that there have been some shifts, some changes in the way that people approach social media today in such a way that, well, I think that if they actually look at people, a lot of the influencers in this space, they would likely adopt a lot of the same strategies of what these people are doing in social media. And I think it can work for somebody who already has a very large following, although I still question frequency, and we'll talk about that. But the reality is that on a small scale, when you're just starting out, I believe that you can really annoy a lot of people by doing some of the most common things that are happening in social media today. And that's what we're going to talk about. Number one, can we automate relationships? And number two, what are the things that are annoying us the most in social media right now? So that's going to be the topic of today. And Eric has agreed to join me for this entire episode of Podcast Answer Man so that at least he can take a minimum of 30 to 50% of the brunt of the feedback.
Oh, feedback. I thought you were going to say blame.
No.
Good.
No,
I accept fully I accept 100% split in half.
Yeah.
The feedback.
There you go. So, Eric, how did this all begin? It started in the last episode. You want to explain to people?
It kind of came out of the last episode, the one previous to this one. And if you didn't listen to that, essentially what we talked about YouTube comments first, and then we branched off into Twitter talking about taking down the function where you could DM anyone, and then we kind of, I don't know exactly how it suddenly switched, but we started talking about how we felt, and I'll even just read how you said you were sad that Twitter is now more of an information network, and they call themselves that rather than a social network.
Yeah, and that started because Twitter finally released a video for the very first time explaining who they are and what they are as a service. So we played the audio of that video, and it says we're like a newspaper. And remember, the early days, it's not like, hey, what's happening? In the early days, Twitter was founded by asking the question, what are you doing? And
yes.
So what's happening is completely different than what are you doing. So there's no question there is a shift in the focus of what this service was and what it is today. And I know a lot of people say, well, because some people say, well, I've always viewed Twitter as an information network and stuff like that. And I think it makes a lot of sense financially for Twitter to be an information network because there's money in information.
Yes.
No
doubt about that.
But the question is, do we as online content creators, as people who want to build and establish relationships of trust and influence with a community of people who share our passions, is treating Twitter as an information network really beneficial to us? So that's the question.
Especially when we are when part of building your brand isn't just sharing, getting and giving of information, it's building of relationships, and relationships are not built on information alone.
That's right. So we did last week, or not last week, because last week was Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I certainly enjoyed my week off. So thank you all for your patience in my lack of putting an episode out last week. But the last episode 2 weeks ago was really titled, Has Twitter Lost Its Human Feel? And I posted that topic out on and a link back to that episode as an informational post linking back to my own stuff. I posted that out on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google+. And number one, interestingly enough, Google+, I think it got a handful of plus ones. But in all fairness, I don't engage with people there very much at all. So I don't expect a whole lot there. LinkedIn, I think I probably had, again, 1 or 2 or 3 people, kind of just like say they like this. And then on Twitter, there was a little bit of engagement around this topic. I would say maybe around, it generated about 7 different @replies. But on Facebook, the one post linking back to last episode, 50 comments.
Yeah, the engagement level on a Facebook post is just so much higher.
Yeah.
Because it brings you back around the people that are engaged and brings others in, and other people see that, I commented, and other friends of me or you or mutual friends, they all get pulled in.
And quite honestly, it has everything to do with the fact that there is the comments are in chronological order, and they're tied directly to the one status update versus this haphazard @reply thread that Twitter tries to do, which doesn't work very well, in my opinion. So there were 50 comments, which is a lot.
And we're going to go through all 50 now.
We're not going to go through all 50, but we are going to probably very clumsily go through some of the posts and just highlight probably about 5 different comments where some of them are lengthier than others. And Jared, I think I'm going to have you start off with the first one that really...
You mean Eric?
Did I say?
It's because it's Jared's comment.
Because there's Jared's comments in here.
Yes.
But actually, Eric, I want you to start off with Jeff Brown's comment.
Okay.
Because he was the first one who really took it deep.
Yeah, he brought a new level to it. I mean, there were some people that said agree, thank you, good comments, good show, things like that. Jeff Brown of the Read to Lead podcast comes in, and he says that he's always viewed Twitter as more of an information platform versus a social network. He says, as I point out in a post, as far back as 6 years ago, I was getting what I considered the equivalent of a master's degree level education. Leveraging this platform as I did and continue to do is largely responsible for the new direction my career took at that time, that of a thought leader in the eyes of my colleagues and among those in my network. I think, and then you responded.
Oh, no, this is still him.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Okay. He then says, I think the thing to remember is Twitter's definition of their own platform in no way limits you to use it however you prefer. If it's the place for you to connect with family and friends, then by no means should you stop doing that.
Okay. And so that's what Jeff Brown said. And by the way, Jeff, relatively, at least in my world, he is relatively new to building his platform online within the last 18 months in my mind, or maybe somewhere around there. I could be wrong, but at least
I've met him since about early this year, sometime around early summer, something like that. But he probably has been around before that.
So he is somebody who has immediately shot to the top of mind for me. I mean, when I met him in Nashville when we were at the START conference,
right.
I really wasn't following Jeff Brown. I wasn't subscribed to Jeff Brown's podcast, but he had certainly, shared with me how, he's, been benefited by Podcast Answer Man. He gave me some feedback and about, how things are progressing with his show. And because of his relationship building connection and just saying thank you, which by the way is a very good way to build relationships, by thanking those who have inspired you. And because of that, I have, and because he actually took a lot of time to comment on things that I would say in social media. So if I say things, and mostly I saw it on Facebook, when I would post something, I would always see Jeff Brown with some kind of encouraging comment or remark with something that I would say. And as a result of that, I became more and more interested in who Jeff Brown is. And I would actually be listening to Ray Edwards' podcast, and I would hear a voice feedback from Jeff Brown, and it was always an encouraging feedback. And as a result of this, I became even more interested in who Jeff Brown is. And eventually, I find Jeff Brown's a friend on Facebook. Jeff Brown's somebody I follow on Twitter and all this other stuff. And as a result of that, I know that other people have had that same kind of reaction to that attitude that Jeff Brown carries. And matter of fact, I think I may have made Jeff Brown a personal plug of the week, and not just for his podcast, but mostly for the way that he engages people in social media. But here's what I said in reaction to what he said. I said, regarding using it, quote unquote, our own way, that sounds wonderful. However, the reality is that there are 167 people I follow on Twitter that have been abducted by aliens and replaced by obsessive information linkers. These are the same people who used to tell me what was on their mind or what they happened to be doing at the moment. These sort of tweets are nearly non-existent today. Maybe I need to unfollow all of my fellow online business/marketing friends.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Actually, hold on. I think I might even have that. There we go.
And in fact, you did.
And in fact, I did. At the time I was at...
So you should go look and see if Cliff is still fine. I'm kidding.
Oh, thank you, Eric Fisher. You are no longer invited back on this show.
I knew this would go down as a show.
So I was following 167 people when I followed that, and right now I'm following 69 people.
And the reason behind that, though,
the reason why is because I wanted to take back Twitter and use it in a different. I want to be nostalgic about the old way of using Twitter. I want to connect with people who are really sharing who they are and getting a greater insight into what's going on in their lives and what they think and what they feel. And
you want to make it a useful tool for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because it was losing its usefulness.
It was using its usefulness in that, here's the thing. I am at a place where I'm on, and I think a lot of us are, we're on content overload.
Yes.
There is no shortage of things that we, quote unquote, should be reading. And if I have to actually
or watching or listening.
Exactly. And if I have to actually, it's like, I'm just going to, I don't know. I won't do that.
No.
But how to do this, click here. Look at this, click here. You must read this, click here. Did you see this? If not, you're missing out. Click here. Here's a new this, click here. I really love this, click here. And it's like, seriously? Where is, and by the way, there are some of my friends who actually do quite a bit of that, but then occasionally I do see, hey, hanging out with this awesome person, and it's a picture of them hanging out with their kids or with their, out on a date with their wife, and those are the things that I love. Those are the things that I love to see. I remember when Twitter was, what are you doing? What's going on in your life? And I know that it sounds crazy, but I miss that, and I feel like that was so much of the charm of what Twitter offered, and it offered it in a way that was different than Facebook, although Facebook has kind of always had this feel, and it still has a lot of that feel. But Twitter had that, it's like real quick, it's like, I remember I would open up Twitter and I would go to the timeline because that was the quickest, fastest, easiest way for me to get just a deeper connection and look and feel of who my online friends are and what's going on in their lives. And I'll be honest, my closest of close friends that I follow on Twitter, I don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't. I get a ton of links. And what happens? Of course, we'll go into it. So anyway, that's the whole thing. I'm actually reevaluating what do I follow. And by the way, one of the
and that was the thing for me is after that conversation and even this Facebook threaded conversation, I even say this somewhere in there that this is not me just saying this is Twitter itself. This is me kind of reevaluating my online digital relationship. And I hate to use the word strategy, but I'm going to because it sounds less personal. But that's what it is.
Yep. So anyway, I mean, we'll get more into this, but I do want to read some other comments here, and I'm going to attempt to read. I hate reading, so I'll see if I can do this here. Lourdes Wellhaven says this. The problem, though, Cliff, is that while some links are useful, just sharing stuff doesn't really accomplish anything either. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. The goal is that more sales, quote unquote, is the answer, and always more quality relationships. Did I? Oh, no, I'm sorry. See, this is why I don't like to read.
Here, let me do it.
Okay, thanks, Eric.
If the goal is more sales, then the answer is always more quality relationships. Relationships can't happen when people just share links with no real purpose or constantly trying to sell. I know this, but you and Eric Fisher reminded me, and for that I'm grateful.
All right, and then Jared actually wrote back to Lourdes and says sharing links can be done in can do a few positive things. For example, most people want their content to be shared or want to be noticed for their podcast episode, blog post, etc. When you share someone's link and tag that person, they see that and are likely to appreciate you taking the time to share it. This creates goodwill between you and the person whom you shared the link. Goodwill has a tendency to create reciprocity and develop a deeper relationship. I encourage Twitter users to become the noticer rather than always trying to get noticed. And then Lourdes wrote back. You want to read that?
Sorry, I'm missing that here.
Okay, she says, Jared, I don't disagree with you per se, but let me explain what I was thinking. There are some people that I follow religiously, and she put that in quotes, and she says, seriously, every comment, every picture, every link is something that I need to know. Case in point, Ed. Oh, okay. And actually, she's actually does mean this. Every is something I need to know. Ed. Case in point is Ed Dale. I've learned so much from Ed. It's just crazy. But if he links to someone else's content, it's clear that he's linking to them because it will benefit his followers, not because it will
ingratiate.
There you go. Thank you. Ingratiate him to the person he is linked to. Consequently, I believe that I have purchased every single trading course that Ed has ever sold. Why? Because it always makes me money. Because he always thinks of his followers first. And it all starts with the fact that he's curating content, creating content, or sharing in a way that benefits his followers first, not impresses his peers. Cliff's episode woke me up to the fact that I don't want to be another person sharing the same content over and over again like a machine, and that my first priority is and must remain my community, to engage with them like a real person, not a robot, sharing stuff so that they can go anywhere for that. So I'm committing to myself being Lourdes and not another sharer for many reasons. I want to share for my community's reasons, and those that I hold in highest regard will be my community. This episode really woke me up, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, yes. And then Jared wrote a different, I think this was this, I don't know if this was a part of this or not, but
it was a part of the conversation. It was actually a reply to me.
Okay.
And it had to do, this has more to do with frequency and marketing and promoting, because I had a book come out in September. And Jared said, you do a great job of this, directed at me. He said, you do a great job of this. However, you posted a large amount of links during your book launch. I supported you with this effort. Thank you, Jared, because I believed in your book and wanted to see you and Jim succeed. Links are not the problem if you're sharing others' content that is really good and deserves to be noticed. What if a well-respected and influential podcaster put out a show that basically condemned Twitter links during your book launch? Cliff. No, I mean,
I don't know who he would be referring to.
I don't know what he's talking about. We love you, Jared.
Yes, we do. So what do you have to say about that?
What I would say about that, and you and I talked pre-show very bluntly, I asked you, do you remember what was your opinion of my tweeting during that time? And your response was?
I don't even remember you doing it. And the reality is in my mind, I kind of do remember that time. And while I did not use this feature on my tweet bot, I actually used this feature in my subconscious mind. I ignored.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
I ignored you or muted all of your posts in my mind during your book launch.
There was a filter.
Because guess what, Eric? I bought your book.
Right.
I didn't need to be reminded to buy your book anymore. So I saw the very first time you posted it, boom, purchased. Done deal. But then, if you continue and continue to continue, all of a sudden, not only did I ignore your message to your book, it's like, okay, this is Eric. I'm not going to unfollow Eric. I'm too darn close to Eric to unfollow
Although you
him.
unfriended me.
Well, that's a whole different story.
That's a whole other story. Explain later.
But I'm not going to unfollow Eric. And so, but what I am going to do is, I know that this too shall pass. His book launch can't last forever. He's not going to be posting, 3 to 7 links a day every single day for all eternity. I give him maybe a week and a half most, and he'll eventually grow out of this season, and he'll stop annoying me with obsessive tweets about his book. And so what I'm going to do is every time I see Eric's face, I will ignore it and move on.
Which means you then subconsciously or somewhat consciously even tuned me out completely, and I became invisible.
You did.
Everything I did, even anything else I did that would have been worthwhile, that I would have thought might have been worthwhile to you, also becomes just noise.
Exactly. And I will tell you that Tweetbot has an amazing functionality called mute. And so I can easily hover over somebody's name, and while they're at a conference or while they're promoting something for a week or two, you can actually go in and hit mute, and you can say 1 week or 1 day, 1 week, do they have the 1 hour? I can't remember. But anyway, I know it's at least 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. And be honest with you, there's a couple people that it's like, man, they're so close to me. I'm just going to mute them for a month. See if I miss anything. And so I love Eric's question. It's like Jared's question. He says, Eric, what would you say if Cliff, was calling people out on this during something that you were doing? And I think that's an interesting question, because we have the example of this. Eric and I used to do a show. It's called Social Media Serenity, or was called Social. Hold on.
It still exists. It's still called that.
Yeah. But if you go, it's socialmediaserenity.com. I was just trying to pull it up here. 119 episodes that Eric and I did together. And Eric, I'll never forget the time that we talk about social media annoyances, the iPad giveaws.
Oh, no.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Dude,
how did I forget about that? How did I forget that lesson?
It was you.
This is that lesson all over again.
It was you and 4 other people that annoyed the heck out of me.
And I won.
And you won a darn iPad.
But was it worth it?
But was it worth it? That was the question.
I forgot, man.
But you totally was tweeting that thing like nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And it got so bad.
This is back when you're following fewer people.
Yeah. It was so bad that I'm like, dude, Eric, you got to stop this. And we were in a podcast.
Yep. Yeah, it was a podcast intervention.
It was. I did a Pottervention for you. So I'm not afraid to call my friends out on this and stuff. But that's the thing. The question is when is too much? And
yeah, and I would put it this way. And there was a conversation I had yesterday on Twitter, which I had a conversation on Twitter. It was essentially, it came down to, in a noisy world, how do you gauge the frequency the ratio of signal to noise in a noisy world? Right. It was the whole platform thing. And in fact, it was in response to something Michael Hyatt. So it made sense to couch it in those terms.
Well, before we do that, because we are going to talk about that, the frequency and how you do that. But I want to go back to something that Jared said. And I totally agree with him. There's no question about the fact that if you are linking to somebody else's material, that is going to create goodwill among you and the person's information that you're sharing. And
oh yeah, definitely. There's value there.
There's absolute value there. However, there is also potential goodwill among you and your followers in the event that the information that you're sharing is a great, wonderful glove fit to a majority, or at least a very large percentage of the people who follow you. There's goodwill that can be communicated, or that can be created among them as well. But when you are doing this consistently, the goodwill is created only between yourself and the person whose links you're sharing, and it's overwhelming to the people who follow you because there's just so much. And it comes to that thing. It's like, man, I there's a reason why I purposely decide not to go eat at buffets, because there's so much good food that even though my physical body is telling me I'm full, my mind is telling me I cannot pass up this next great thing. Have you ever gone to a buffet and just gone and ate one plate of food?
Never.
And the problem of following somebody who is consistently sharing a buffet of links is that you're consistently tempted to click and click and click and click and click and click. And eventually what happens is, you know, you might be sharing posts on productivity, but you could be killing it for people, and stuff like that. So my reaction, or my response, and I don't have that one copied here, but I just know it off the top of my head, is, you know, one of the ways that you can create that same goodwill with the person whose content that you're reading and consuming, it would mean just as much, potentially even more goodwill, and have all the same benefits without annoying all of your followers if you were to read the entire post and then carefully spend 5 or 10 minutes carefully crafting a 1 or 2 paragraph response in the comment section on their post, sharing how that influenced you, and doing that for each of those pieces of content that you are sharing. Because what happens is they get an email notification that says Jared Easley just commented on you, Jeff Brown just commented on you, so and so just commented on you, and all these things. And it's like, wow, this person read. And it would mean just as much as you said if you were to say, you know what, I know a small group that gets together on Facebook, and I just want to let you know, you're not going to see this as a private group, but I'm going to share this with a small group on Facebook that I know that is talking about this, and I'm going to link them back to here. Now, does that have to go out to every single person on every single social network for you to create that great will? Absolutely not.
Not at all. And honestly, there's no guarantee that you even read the content when you end up sharing it.
Right.
But when you reply in the comment section of the content with a meaningful comment or response, you have to have read it or listened or etc.
Yeah. So, and I mean, honestly, when there's so much content that's being shared, it's like, how can one human being literally read all those posts? Unless you're a super reader. I mean, you're a super speed reader, and you're consuming content. Yeah, and if that's the case, man, I just, there's no way I can keep up. But you know, and then that leads to this other thing. I think you said it was a Gary Vaynerchuk thing that somebody was quoting about, can we really automate our relationship, or you can't automate relationships? Yeah,
actually, there is a quote again here I guess Jeff's going to get a ton of shout outs here. Jeff's latest episode of the Read to Lead podcast not the latest, second to latest, is an interview with Gary Vaynerchuk about his latest book. And in it, Gary says something, and it's been quoted out there. It's been quoted out there.
It's been accredited?
Yes. Gary says, crap, what's the quote? What did you say?
I think you can't automate relationships.
You can't automate relationships, right. Which answers the bait link title of our episode. Facetiously, that you can't automate a relationship. You can't send, as even Scott Stratton of Unmarketing says. He says you don't set up you don't set up accounts and then not engage there. because it's like sending a dummy to a networking event.
Yeah, and the idea, and here's the thing: we're not speaking against Buffer app. We're not speaking against Social Oomph that has queues and
their automation
reservoirs.
has its place. In other words, there is value in automation. We're not saying there isn't.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I am questioning though is whether or not there is long-term value for your closest followers in automating in such a way where your automated posts are happening, let's just say, more than 5 times per day. And this is where I really struggle, because there's somebody that I follow that I can't even imagine in a billion years that I would ever unfollow them.
Right.
But the reality is that the number of tweets and it's the same tweets over and over again, and I'm like, I mean,
you mean like reword? It's the same content. It's just reworded.
It's many times it's the same wording.
It's almost the same wording.
Yeah, and here's the deal. I mean, Social Oomph has this thing where you can go in. It's like, okay, so you can go in and create a brand new podcast episode, and you can create 5 different creative ways to give us a tweet with a link back to that one post. And then you add that to your, I think they call it a reservoir. And what'll happen is it'll churn that those 5 responses, as well as all of your other 5 responses that you've been adding to your other blog posts and things like that. And whenever you tell it to drip out a new thing, it will pull from one of those. Now, of course, Buffer app has something similar called the Buffer. And those, some people, you could quote unquote rephrase it a couple different ways. But there are a couple people that I follow that and I'm not going to say what it says because it'll immediately, I mean, everybody would know who it is.
We're not giving names or giving content. It gives it away.
Yeah, but the reality is that when I see this person's name or face in Twitter, that I know it is going to be one of 4 things. It's going to be a link to this resource. It's going to be a link. It's going to be a notification to this thing, or it's going to be a random link to this post, and that I see it happening 20, maybe 30 times a day, and I recognize right now I could totally be overestimating that. But in my mind, that's how it feels.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, wow. And the good thing is this person does occasionally share what's going on in my life. And so there's definitely the balance. We briefly talked on what used to be, what was it? What did we call it? Was the 30-30?
Oh, yeah. What's the old rule? The new rule seems to be 80-20.
It was the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
Yes.
We used to go, if we're online marketers, we used to say we're 1/3 of the time we're going to share something about us. 1/3 of the time we're going to actually give some sharing and some love to other people, and 1/3 of the time we're gonna link back to our own stuff. That used to be the old unwritten rule, and now it's 80-20, where it's 80% other people, 20% us. And what I was talking about in the last episode is that it was linking back to our own material. And what was going on is in the 80-20 rule, we're losing the what's going on in your world and what's going on in your life. And what I miss, and it's the thing that people said that they hated the most is like, I don't like Twitter. I don't care what you had for lunch. Well, the reality is I do care what you had for lunch. Not really, but I'm more interested in.
I care about you.
I care about you. And if all of a sudden, I know before Twitter, I had no idea that you were a baconaholic, Eric. And I think it's a fun little thing that you do with your bacon and stuff. Stephanie and I were at the airport and we saw bacon strip Band-Aids and we were thinking about buying them until we saw that they were $39.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Even I wouldn't buy that.
But the reality is that somewhere along the way there's the where is the human feel about this? But it's even if you're actually including the human stuff, it's like, hey, here, check out the sunshine. Here's a picture of where I'm walking today. Or, hey, here's this and here's that. The reality is that even if you're actually including the personal stuff that I think really develops relationships, it can be overshadowed by overfrequency. And what happens is, and it goes back to this word we came up right before we hit record, which is desensitizing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think again, it's the desensitizing. It's the frequency of signal to noise to the point where, you know, you again even said that at some point back in September-ish or later, I became more noise than signal to you.
Yep.
And so even though you and I are close, like, you completely tuned me out. And it was my fault, not yours.
And not that you need to actually gear all of your stuff to me.
No.
But the question is are there other people who could potentially feel the way that I do, but would never say it, or quite simply doesn't even have the platform to say it, or doesn't have the relationship with you to say it? So that's the question is, you know, this isn't just about having a popular podcaster, you know, going out and talking about with their influence and you know, going on the rail against informational links. Because, you know, in reality, it's just me and it's just my opinion. And if I influence people, then I hope that it's influencing you because it's awakening something that you feel deep inside, but you kind of lost sight of. And not that I'm actually convincing you of something that's only true for me. Does that make sense? In fact,
oh yeah, totally. What I think you're saying, and I'm going to try and echo strongly, is we're not telling you to think like us. But what we are asking you to do, or encouraging you to do, I guess I should say, is think about what your strategy is. What are your goals for these social networks? What is it you're really trying to get out of it? Is there a better way to do what you're doing? And maybe there's a different way to change what you're doing to get more out of it, instead of potentially drowning your own self out.
Yes. So let me explain to you a way where I feel that I was using automation and I did it to sell stuff. And I did it in a way that I felt okay based upon what I'm stating here in this episode. This was it's not this year. It was actually 2 years ago. I did my Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. The first one I ever did, and I knew that it would probably go over pretty darn well because I knew there are a lot of people who would love my tutorials that just, you know, they were saving up for some of them and stuff like that. And they were waiting. I knew that if I offered a discount, it would happen. And I did a sale. I was going to offer 35% off of any tutorial you wanted to purchase from Black Friday through Cyber Monday. And here's what I did. I knew I was going away for Thanksgiving. I was going to Tennessee with my family. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to be consciously linking to all this stuff. Gosh, 2 years ago, I didn't have high-speed internet access on my phone down in the Smoky Mountains. So I knew I had to do something. And so I used something like Buffer App, or I think I probably was using Buffer
Hootsuite or something.
Or Hootsuite. I did one of those services. And what I did is I found 7 different ways to communicate that this sale was in existence. And each of those sent a link back to the same blog post. All right. But it is 7 different ways. And then what I did is I did schedule those automated tweets to happen twice a day, every day, for 4 days. For 5 days. So one of them was announcing that it's coming tomorrow. So there were 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and 2 on Monday. So I think that's 5 days. Anyway, so I automated those, and I actually chose what times they would go out, so I knew when they would go out. But while I was on vacation from my phone, in between those automated tweets, I made sure I was putting out some personal stuff like, here's where we're at. You know, we just got to the Biltmore estate. You know, check out this picture of us and our family. You know, but wouldn't it be nice to have a studio in this place or something like that? You know, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I felt, and as people were replying to me, I was responding to them, you know, when I was waiting in line for putt-putt golf or something like that, or or while, the kids were going to the bathroom or something like that. I would make time throughout the day to kind of engage with people. So I was there, I was present, but yet all of my sales stuff had been automated in the advance. But what I think where I would have gone over the line is if I would have automated, even if I would have reworded it, 42 different ways. If I would have automated 7 of those a day, I think I would have overwhelmed and desensitized my audience.
Yeah, I agree.
And because we've been having this conversation, I did my Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. And I think that I did
just now.
This year. I just finished it. And I did that this past weekend. I sent one email to my mailing list, and I sent out a total, I believe, of 2 different social media status updates, and that was it. And I had pretty much the same exact results as I did the 2 past years.
Yeah.
So I think what happens is that with this frequency thing, I think we all believe that everybody's using Twitter the way that the larger media says people are using Twitter, or we believe that everybody is using Twitter the way that we are. For example, for those, and I used to be one of these people who followed thousands of people. You can't keep up with it.
No way.
You tweet something and it's gone in an hour. But the reality is that there are some people who now use Twitter and the way that I'm actually using Twitter these days. I either have lists, which, by the way, all my lists are private, and I do have lists. So I am actually following more than 69 people. It's just that there's a good chance you're in a list, which I only check when I want to see what's going on with that part of my network of people. But when I see Twitter, and if I'm following 69 people, guess what? I actually can. Sometimes I will literally scroll down the list, and I will be able to keep up with 69 people, everything they tweet within a day. There's not a single tweet that they tweet that I don't miss, that I will miss. I will see every one of them, with the exception of those who are tweeting 12 times a day, and I get desensitized. And unfortunately, I overlook them, and hopefully I catch an occasional picture on Instagram from them. Yeah. When I check Instagram
or Facebook.
And
speaking of which, we should probably transition over to Facebook. But I have one more thought on your Black Friday stuff.
Yeah.
The idea being, what is the minimum effective dose?
Right.
When it comes to, if you tweet it 5 times or 2 times, but the 2 times got you the same amount of clicks as the 5 times did, then you really didn't need to tweet those other 3 times. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
well, but it's more than that. It's the question is
at what point is what's the saturation point? In other words,
and the other question is your goal sales and marketing, or is your goal relationships, or can you have both? So the thing is the reality is the more you tweet, if your goal is sales, here's the deal. If your goal is sales and the people who are going to buy from you only buy when they see it, and then when they see it, there's a good chance that some of those people who buy from you, well, they like you enough that they're not going to unfollow you. And so even though they may be annoyed, they're still going to be a follower for some people, that's the case. And if they're going to get annoyed and unfollow you, well, if your goal is sales and marketing only, or at least that's your primary purpose, well, then do you really care if they unfollow you? Because, well, guess what? They're not in your target audience. And so that's where some people, they're very heavily focused in using social networking for sales and marketing. And by all means, tweet 50 times a day. Because guess what? The more you tweet that free iPad offer, the greater your chance of getting a free iPad, as Eric Fisher will tell you.
It's proven.
But the question is, can you use social media where your primary purpose is split somewhat equally between marketing and sales and relationships? And then the question becomes, is there really such thing as relationship marketing? And I believe there is, but I think that it's possible to have relationships be the primary focus. And if relationships are the primary focus, couldn't you actually do less quote unquote calls to action And the simple fact that when you do a call to action, people notice and they immediately jump to respond to it. And they don't need to see the call to action every single day or 4 times a week.
Well, it's that it's honestly, this goes back to that whole crying wolf thing to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You know, like the more times you point to something over and over and over again, the one time you really need them to, they may not see it or have tuned you out to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I don't know if we accomplished anything other than upsetting a lot of people. But the reality is
I don't think that anybody really needs to be upset at all.
I don't
honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that I believe you and I are having a conversation that other people have quite often, but don't share publicly because they don't want to ruffle feathers. And I'm not trying to ruffle feathers, but I am very saying, man, going back to what I said, man, I really miss the old way of Twitter. We want more out of this. Yeah, I want more out of this. I want more of a relationship with people, and I'm just telling you that's what I want, and I know that other people want this. 50 comments kind of, on that tweet, on that post on Facebook, that kind of confirmed that I'm not the only one who wants a little bit more of the relationship side and feels that it's kind of gone the other way. The information linking has become a little bit, too much of a focus. And for Twitter, it makes sense, but does it make sense for us is the question.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I don't know, do we want to go into 2 more topics real quickly, or what do we want to do?
How long has it been?
We're at 51 minutes.
Depends on how long a show you want to put out.
I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. Why did you unfriend me? I didn't mean it. Oh, sorry. I have.
It was the other way around.
2 out of 5 people on Facebook this week that I unfriended immediately sent me a Facebook message saying, "I just wanted to follow up with you to find out why did you unfollow me?" And I'm thinking, how did they know?
Yeah,
because my understanding is that on Facebook, I have following. I say following, I mean unfriending. I have following turned on, which means that if I unfriend you, you still have the ability to follow me. You still have the ability to comment on everything. You still have the ability to Facebook message me. But for some reason, but if I actually unfriend you, you become a follower. But for some reason, there were 2 people that literally one person was like within 6 hours and the other one was within 24 hours. Both of them emailed me immediately saying, I'm kind of hurt. Why did you do this? And the one person I was able to immediately write back and said, well, gosh, dude, you sent me an email, a Facebook email that had 90 people in it. And everybody's responding back to you. And I'm getting a response to every response to every response. And it's like, I don't know who you are. And your original email was kind of desperate and begged me to come like your page. And the reality is the only interaction you and I have ever had anywhere ever is that I got a friend request from you and I accepted it. So I have no idea who you are, and now you've included me in this, and this is not the way that I use social media. I'm not upset with you or anything like that. It's just I don't know who you are, and I went and left the conversation. I just want to make sure I don't get put into any more of these. And so that's why I unfriended you. And he's like, oh, wow. Well, I'm really sorry I messed that up. And I'm like, I'm sorry you did too.
Yeah.
He's like, well, will you refriend me? I was like, I'll, keep in touch. Send me some, if we develop a real relationship, maybe there won't be a day when I actually send you the friend request. Yeah. And I was just being very honest with it. It's like, I don't know who you are. The only thing now is that you've called me out on unfriending you.
That's not the foundation for a friendship.
And I should say, and the fact is that you've just told me that the one interaction that we've had is that I have soured your feelings toward me. It's like, so I immediately want to become your friend because you immediately became soured with your feelings toward me.
You ticked me off. Why are we not friends?
Exactly.
Is what you say. Anyway, I'm not mocking. I'm just it's funny with the technology is what it is.
It is. It's like, come on, seriously. And then this other person who just emailed me, I have Facebook me. I haven't had a chance to respond back, but I know what it was. The thing is I get invited to events. You know, it's like where you create an event and you like, oh, let's invite all these people, and they select all. And I'm like, and I get invited to events that just obviously you did not think of me personally when you invited me to this event. And unfortunately, I follow so many people that I get event requests all the time, and they fill up my notifications. And I say, never tell me about this event again, or never tell me about this page again. But they just keep coming in. You create another event, and the reality is some people super abuse the event requests. And I go in, and it's like when I have a little extra time, I go through people and I look at the event, it's like, that's definitely not something I would have ever been interested in. If they knew that, they wouldn't have invited me. I just got tossed into something, and I'll actually do a search for that person and unfriend them, knowing that it's not actually going to hinder them from being connected to me in the way that they're already connected. I've just put a roadblock from them automatically being able to invite me to their events.
They're already only passively following you, so that's what you've pushed them to do.
They're passively following me, and they've got me in their friend list so they can invite me to a bunch of stuff that might potentially be interesting to me, but usually is not. And what happened is sometimes I will actually go in and search and follow, like if I've got like 10 of them in a row, 10 event invites, I might actually, or 10 page invites for pages that really would have no interest to me. I might actually go in and search them in a block. And I think this person just got searched, got pulled up in a block because I unfriended 5 people this past week. And I thought it was weird. It's like, how did these people do it? And you and I both searched. Facebook does not notify them that I've unfriended them. So these people must be on top of things somehow. I don't know how they figured it out. And maybe I'll email both of those people and say, can you tell me real quickly, how did you find out that I unfriended you?
I think it's that if they're still following you, you're not friends, but they're following you. So they see your content and it comes through and they go to comment and they see that the status of you and them is not friend. They don't see that it's, if you're friends, it's not going to say it's friends. But if you're not friends, it's going to say friends with or has something mutual friends. Like I'm not phrasing it right, but there are indicators that then make them click or see or be able to draw that conclusion. So
yeah, well, and the thing is I somewhat feel bad about it. Maybe I need to go and do the same approach on Facebook that I have with Twitter, and just and I see a bunch of other people doing this, and I've always hesitated from doing it on Facebook because I found a way for Facebook to not annoy me, with the exception of these notifications.
Well, and you would say overall you're not annoyed in general. It's just these few exceptions, and you deal with them when they come up, right?
Yeah, I deal. If I get an obsessive amount of game invites or Facebook like invites or event invites, sometimes it takes the third one before. But the thing is what happens is sometimes I'll get the third one from you, and then there'll be 3 others that come along where it's the first time that they've ever done this. And well, while I'm in the mood of just going in and getting these out of the way, I'll sometimes there'll be casualties. There's civilian casualties in this war.
There's collateral damage.
You're just collateral damage. I promise.
Social networking collateral damage.
There you go. I love it. And then one final social media annoyance that thank you, Google Plus. They fixed this one. All right. So I'm not going to mention a name, but I will mention this one because
I will say this. I've been guilty of doing this twice.
All right. Well, I've done it before. But I only do it with circles that I know that would care. But the reality is that, dude, just because you put me in a circle doesn't mean I signed up for your mailing list. Okay? So you have the ability on Google Plus to send a status update and share it with your circle. And when you do that, you also have the ability to say, oh, send this over into the email inboxes of your friends in this circle. And there's one person who does this excessively. And actually, there's a few people. And I actually, I completely went and, removed any connection to them. But I won't say who the person is, but the email this morning just it's like, want to know how to really make a living? ... So if you know who you are, you know who you are. But anyway, it says this person shared a post with Cliff at podcastanswerman.com. And then right afterwards, it says you can mute so-and-so to stop receiving notifications from this person. You can also mute updates to this post. Now, back in the early days when they had this functionality, it's like, hey, so-and-so shared this post with you on Google+, and now it's in your email inbox. If you'd like, you can turn off all email notifications from Google+. It's like, that's a kill switch. I don't want a kill switch. I just don't want them from this person anymore. How can as far as I know, this person's not in my circle, but because he chose to put me in his circle, he has the ability to email me. And my only recourse at the time was to turn off all email notifications from Google+. That's silly. Well, thankfully, this annoyance is now taken care of, because if you look at the bottom of those emails, when you get an email from Google+, from somebody who chose to use that, there's the ability, look in the footer of that email, and you'll see mute, and then insert the name of that person. And it'll say mute this person, and you'll stop receiving any more of these notifications from that person. And I just want to say, yay, Google+, which, by the way, I think is the first time you've ever heard me say, yay, Google+.
You heard it here first. That's the controversy right there.
There you go. Oh, man. I don't know if we'll have any subscribers after this episode of Podcast Answer Man, and I may have just ruined like 4 really, really good friendships.
I don't see how. No names, only positive names were mentioned.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to do it like us, but you probably should rethink, or just do a checkup on what you're doing. No, do it like us. Never mind.
You just do it like us. I was going to say, you shouldn't rethink. The question is, did any of this spark any response in you? And if it did, evaluate where you are. That's what I say. Evaluate where you are. And by the way, I'm not saying that if you choose to market and sell things on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and social media, that you can't have relationships with people, because I am unapologetically marketing my products and services through social media. It is one of the reasons that I do it. But for me, my primary purpose in life and in my business is to benefit others and to have good relationships with people. And I kind of that's where I lean to first. And sometimes I see so many things that, man, that's so overwhelming. And that's what I wanted to cover.
I think a certain amount of the marketing takes care of itself when you focus on the relationships first.
Yep. Hey, speaking of social media, Eric, where do you, let's just give a social media space. What is one social media space you'd most want people to come and follow you or friend you or @reply you on?
Man, I don't know anymore now that we've said this. I would go to Facebook, I guess. Facebook.com/Eric with a K, the letter J, FISHER.
All right, so there you go. Facebook.
I should have threw out an obscure one, like Plurk.
Plurk. I remember Plurk. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Check out Facebook.com/Eric with a K, the letter J, FISHER. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, you can. And it's Facebook.com/Cliff Ravenscraft. If you were to actually ask for a friend request, there's a great chance I would actually accept it. But there's a very real possibility that I may dump all but 50 friends on Facebook sometime within the next 6 months. I don't know. I'm really evaluating how I use social media and creating and putting people into lists and other things like that. But who knows? The one thing I do know is that if I'm going to have a relationship with somebody, I want it to be meaningful and matter, and I want to really get to know people deeper. I want to go deeper rather than wider. Although at the same time, I don't necessarily want to discount going wider. Anyway, God bless you all. Until next time, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.